And then obviously they've had the APT case going on with the Premier League as well. We've heard numerous times that a decision is going to be made at this point, and now apparently it's going to be the end of September.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the case or not. But the Times reported the club's legal team are anticipating some form of victory in that case. Is the outcome of that likely to be final? Could there be any appeals at all against?
No, there won't be. That decision is very likely to be final because of the way that the appeal situation works with arbitration. It's not the same as an appeal for the independent commission. The independent commission appeal is relatively straightforward. You just file a form and then you can have your appeal to an independent commission. It is not the same with an arbitration, which has very limited ways in which you can appeal the decision. And having looked at them, I don't think any of them will apply to the APT situation. So the APT decision, I think, will be final. In terms of whether City have had any success and when it's due, I think we should all realise now that nobody knows, because the number of different times that apparently the decision was about to come out seems to have moved quite a lot. And to be honest, I don't even think it's clear there will be a published decision in respect of it. The rules don't say that there should be, so it would have needed the parties to agree that the decision should be published. So it's quite possible that the parties have already got the decision, and it's just we don't know about it. It's quite possible City have already lost because there's been no changes to the Premier League rules. And it's quite possible that the only way that we will ever know if there has been a win for City will be some kind of subtle change to the Premier League rules, a new edition of them that are published on the website. So there's a lot of uncertainty in respect to that. I just urge a bit of caution in terms of believing what you read in the press. I suspect not even the parties know the decision that's been made by the arbitration panel, and therefore, how could anybody else have a clear steer for what the findings have been and where it's got to? It could only at best be a perception as to how the hearing went, which is always incredibly difficult anyway when you've got three different people that are going to decide, because you might have a feel for how maybe one of the panel was more vocal than the rest, but you're not going to know where the overall panel is going to land on particular points. So I'd take it all with a pinch of salt, to be honest.
In terms of matters on the pitch, Rodri's caused a bit of a stir this week when he suggested the players are close to striking over the fixture increase this season. Could they do that? I mean, is it their contracts? What within them do they state that they have to play what the club signs up for? Where do they stand on that?
But look, I think it's unlikely that there's going to be a strike. First of all, I think Rodri's talking about really a very small number of players that have the issues that City players have. So, for example, this season, part of the reason that it's such a big issue for City and Chelsea players is because of the Club World Cup. But clearly, most clubs don't have the Club World Cup issue straight away. So, for most clubs, that will remove a big chunk of them. Most clubs are not going to get to the latter stages of the Champions League. Again, you can remove that from most players. So the vast majority of players around the game are not having seasons with 60, 70, 80 games. It's an issue for the elite players. So I very much doubt there's going to be a strike. I think players are going to have to take a bit more responsibility for themselves in terms of contracts and putting, maximum number of games in that they're prepared to play, and accepting that might have some impact on their earnings. At the end of the day, if they are willing to take ever increasing salaries, those salaries are being paid for by ever increasing tournaments. And so it's not just as simple as saying, well, we can't keep playing these games. Look, of course, it's obvious that we are overplaying our top players. That's clear. But I think it's probably more for the players to be more restrictive in terms of their contracts, and for the clubs themselves to be to deal with having bigger squads where they're playing multiple competitions, and it's not ideal. None of it's ideal. But if you're going to take the money for those trophies, then you have to staff up accordingly. But as I say, it's not an issue for most players. So it's an issue for Rodri. Rodri is almost the exception. There's very few players that are playing the number of games Rodri's playing, because Rodri is at he's at the pinnacle of his career, and he's at a club that's playing in multiple competitions, and he's also playing international competitions through to the end. But that's not normal. Normal player will not play that many games over, a season. Everton players, for example, will not be playing anywhere near the number of games that Rodri will be playing. And they're still one of our top clubs. Similarly, there's lots of Premier League clubs that just will not have these issues. So I don't know. We'll see. There won't be a strike, I don't think. But the issue is real. But I think there are more things that the parties can do to control them, the issue, rather than just holding their hands up and saying there's nothing we can do. I think there is.